Hello, everyone. It's Religious Fanboy here again, and I'm with our guest and friend Mike Edmondson, and we're gonna do another anime recommendation list for the winter of 2026, as well as talk about stuff that we're enjoying right now, as we're about a third of the way through the spring of 2026 anime season. How are you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm happy to be back on the podcast. So I think this is our third one we've done together, if I
Yep.
remember right. And as far as I'm concerned, if you want to do this every new season, I'm on board. I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking about anime. I'm kind of a closet
Yeah.
geek. I don't like to tell everybody because I'm from the '90s. I don't like to let my geek flag fly. You know what I mean? But I kind of enjoy just sitting down and kind of nerding out a little bit about anime
Yeah.
because it's something that I really enjoy still as an adult. I enjoy watching anime every season. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here today. So I'm excited about some of the things that I got to watch last season. There was some really good standouts, and then I feel like we're a little spoiled for choice this season. We talked a little bit this at lunch today.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot out there right now that's so far looks pretty good.
Yeah. For sure. Um, I did kind of have two brief fall 2025 things that I wanted to your thoughts on and also recommend.
Okay, I don't. So shoot, brother.
Like first thing of like new things. I don't know if you have Disney Plus, but I've really enjoyed Twisted Wonderland, and I liked the main thing that I saw paralleled in that was kind of the importance of doing right by your neighbor and like the requirement of reconciliation between your relationship with others before you could be right with God. I can't remember the verse, but it's the one that says, if you have something against your brother, leave the thing that you were going to offer.
Yeah, I think
And
that's in
then,
Corinthians. I think that's in probably First Corinthians. I believe. Of course, I don't know. There may be some Bible scholar
yeah,
that's in the listening going, "It's not. It's another one." But I think it's that because they're talking
yeah,
about they were fighting with each other, infighting in that church, and he was kind of
yeah,
going like, "Hey, instead of hanging out in church and just acting like everything's normal, like go fix things
yeah,
and then come and participate in things like communion or
yeah.
giving or that sort of thing."
I
So
just really like the way that show paralleled it.
okay,
And then the other one is something that I've been meaning to talk about but haven't yet. Is the final season of My Hero Academia came out last fall.
it did.
The only disclaimer I would give is there was some fan service with Hagakure and Toga in a few episodes.
Okay.
And then I've also recently watched the episode. Is it just called More? The one where it was like after the time skip in the original ending.
Okay, and like everybody's kind of gone their separate ways to a certain extent.
Yeah, I think it came out last week. But
Midoriya is like a teacher, if I remember right,
yeah,
EA. Yeah. Uh, I don't know. I watched all of that season in one big gulp after the season was over, and I
mm-hmm.
know I watched that at that time. Um, so it must have been a couple of weeks ago when it came out. But I think I used to promised Wonderland,
Twisted Wonderland.
Twisted Wonderland. I don't know if I've seen that one, or is that the one we were talking about at lunch?
We might have brought up at lunch. It's the one where it's an isekai, but it's had a magical school, kind of like Hogwarts.
Okay.
But all of the houses at the school are based on the legendary Disney villains.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I have not seen that. No, I was thinking of Promised Wonderland, I think.
Oh, Promise Neverland. That was the
Neverland.
one that we
That's
were talking
yes,
about.
okay. That's why I was getting those confused. No, I have not seen that one, so I can't give you much of an opinion on that. But I definitely caught all of My Hero, and it was kind of great because there's an arc in the and somebody's probably gonna make fun of me for this, but I'm from Texas, so I say manga, and I always every once in a while someone will go, "You're supposed to be," or I always say manga. Sometimes I say manga because like I said, I'm from Texas, so I'm all like, I used to say manga all the time. So if I say manga, I mean manga. All right, same thing. You get me. But I've read the manga uh of My Hero up to the point where like they confront him about like being like super edge lord and like semi evil. Like he's been out doing his vigilante work because he's like so afraid that the bad guys are gonna hurt his friends, and they
Yeah.
like finally like confront him. That's like right where I stepped out of the manga. So
Mm.
mostly because I was current at that time, and
Yeah.
it was kind of in like a dark moment in the series, and I was like,
Yeah.
I need to take a break, and I just never came back. So for me, this last season was a chance for me to catch up on the end. So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I also enjoyed the fact that like they took enough time to try to help wrap up some of those story arcs with that extra episode, because
Yeah.
I feel like that's some of the issues I have with some anime is that, and even manga too, is you've been this dedicated reader for years or for months anyway, or seasons, and then they end a show and they don't wrap up many of the strings or details, like the characters you've been following. Like, where do they end up? What did they do? And sometimes the ending is pretty ambiguous. There's been times where it's like they don't even tell you what happens. Like, it's up to your
Mm.
interpretation to decide if someone won or lost. And there's some coolness in that, but like, I enjoyed My Hero because like you get to see where like everybody kind of ends up to a certain
Yeah.
extent.
And like I feel like with that show, it's especially important that they did that because, and it's like the big part was like people going to school. It's like it makes sense that there would be a lot of side characters that people have grown very fond of within the fandom.
Yeah. I also thought it was kind of interesting because if I remember right, at the end of More, don't they hint that Midoriya is getting his power back?
I wasn't sure. I think it might have been more of it's been a minute since I read the manga, gotten more detail. I'm actually planning on covering the final volume and like the final season some point. The summer's gonna be crazy. So
Yeah.
it might be August.
Well, I've
Uh
consumed a lot of content since then, but I could have sworn they were like hinting that like
yeah,
he either gets his power back or maybe even gets a different quirk or something. I don't remember,
yeah.
but I thought I remember that there was like this idea that I remember now what it was. Didn't they give him like the armor suit, and he's
Yeah,
gonna go fight crime with the armor suit?
yeah, and like apparently it's kind of like how in the final season we saw All Might suit where it gave him all the
Yeah, he was basically Batman.
powers of like 1A.
Yeah.
Um it basically Deku's suit is like that, but instead of mimicking Class 1A's powers, it gives him it mimics the quirks of the previous All for One users.
Ah, okay. Cool. Well, it's one of those things where it's like I was trying to remember, and that's what it was. Yeah, and I kind of like that ending, because like I like the fact that like he was he wasn't devastated or ruined because he lost his power. Like he was
Yeah,
doing, he was just doing his thing. He was passionately teaching people about how to be heroes and stuff. And then they get this kind of like, hey, by the way, it's not over for you sort of thing, which is like we all get that kind of warm place in our heart. We're like, awesome. Like Deco gets to continue to like have adventures after this giant sacrifice, and so he ends
mm,
his story ends well. He
yeah,
sacrifices himself. He does the right thing for the right reasons, and then of course like he eventually gets his reward, so which you could mirror the whole idea of like running our races for Jesus.
yeah,
We do the right things for the right reasons in the right ways, and while we may have setbacks and tragedies and heartaches and things, when we get through that finish line, there will be a reward. there will
Yeah.
be recognition. There will be an eternity of good things ahead for us. So
Yeah. And I like how it covered legacy in a way of like kind of like parallels the way like the self-centered view versus the godly view is definitely gonna spoil things. If
look, they already we've spoiled the world out of that thing.
um
I thought about that halfway through you talking. I was like, we probably should have given a spoiler warning on
but
this.
basically one of the main illustrations that stands out to me is like all for yeah, all for one's ideology of like this destiny, like I'm gonna fight with my brother forever, even if the world ends. And then like only to have like Bakugo basically play spoiler, and like he's the one who eventually kills uh all for one, while also like kind of saying what I felt the main theme of the show was of like having a legacy isn't about what you can get from those around you. It's what you leave behind for those around you.
Sure. Yeah, All Might's got a cool arc in that too. So, for sure. Uh,
Yeah, I
yeah, it's a good show.
yeah,
It's a good show. It's definitely worth watching. So,
yeah.
I enjoyed it
I also
thoroughly.
yeah, really good. I I still kind of go back and forth on whether or not I should do spoiler warnings for things.
Well, I think when we get into our recommendations, like I know I try to be vague about how it ends up to a certain extent.
Yeah,
Um, but since we were talking about specifically the end of a series, it's kind of hard
yeah,
because I mean that was literally the second half of the end. So it's really hard to get into that and not talk details. So,
yeah.
but
I'll put it in the description of the
you
video.
should probably, yeah, or edit in like a little, like before this podcast starts, like please note we spoil the world out of the end of that show. So if you care, skip to this point in the podcast. Yeah.
But yeah, so kind of going that let's get down to main. Yes, the phrase is meat and potatoes of
Okay.
what we're talking about
That's right.
today with
We did apps. Now it's time for main course.
yeah, winter of 2026 anime recommendations. Um, would you like to start with first of your list?
I could do that.
Okay.
All right. Well, my first is one that I've recommended before on this podcast, and that is Free Run Season 2. All right. I absolutely love the first season of this show. I had never heard of the manga at all. And I had heard through several different YouTubers that this was like one to watch. And so, even from the first episode, I thought this show was fantastic. It was beautifully animated. It's got a great story. It gets you in the heart. It's got some good action to it. It's just a pure fantasy. It's not an isekai like every other fantasy out there, anime. So it's just straight up. They live in a world and they're in a fantasy environment. I loved it, and I think it's one of those that's going to like stand the test of time. I think Freerun is going to be one of those shows that is beloved by a lot of people, and they're going to rewatch it, and it's going to be talked about. It'll be one of those like standards, like a Naruto or a for some people that are older, a DBZ or Yu Yu Hakusho or Inuyasha or you fill in the blank, a Death Note or um,
Yeah.
there are certain shows that kind of define a genre or maybe an era, and I think Freerun is going to end up being one of those, unless somehow they just really shoot themselves in the foot. And I'm thoroughly impressed so far. And season two, which I don't know if it's not necessarily called season two, but I will say this: I feel like it's kind of season 1.5. And I talked about this at lunch a little bit because it's much shorter than season one. Season one was like
Yeah.
28 episodes, I think.
Yeah, I wanted to say there was like it released like 10 episodes,
There were
and then
10.
there was a hiatus and then they dropped 10 more.
Actually, I think it was 14 and 14. I
Oh,
think,
yeah,
if I
that makes
remember right.
sense.
I think it was 14 and 14. But yeah, and the second season is just 10. It's just a flat 10. And it really feels like 105 because it just really bridges the gaps between arcs,
Yeah,
which you would think would be like filler or like not meaningful. But I will tell you, I think it is. They are like more like shorter. Like there's 3 episodes that go together, and there's maybe 2 episodes that go together.
yeah,
And they're still building. They're still moving along. They're still worthwhile. They're in the same place. They're in the same characters. They're still like great stories. They're just kind of little snippets. There's a little bigger one at the very end that kind of sets up the next arc, the next big section of episodes. And it's really good. Some great fight scenes, and they're setting us up for the next big thing. But like I said, it's still worthwhile. So I would still recommend go watch it if you like season one. I think you'll love these 10 episodes. They're great. I think what you'll end up doing though is after 10, you'll go, "Oh, like I gotta wait another like 6 months to a year for more." But from what I gather, the next arc is going to be like quite a. It's going to be pretty substantial, and so there'll be plenty to come. And I hear it's great too. So, but they touch on some topics that are worth talking about or considering as a Christian. Some of those might be like sacrifice,
yeah,
duty, eternity,
yeah,
decorum, like what's right or wrong. I know there's a whole episode where they talk about the handling of dead bodies and of burying people. And of course, in this fantasy environment, it's a little complicated, but the idea is like, it's things that we have to deal with in our world too. Like the decorum of like what's appropriate, what's okay, and why are those things the way they are. Legacy is one. We talk about there are characters that have impacted others, and their legacy after they're gone has impacted so many people. And that's an ongoing thing in Freeman, but it's one of those that you'll see that like is people's sacrifices and lives have affected others and have softened others or have hardened others. And it's an interesting thing that you could really play and talk about. I know you don't do warnings very often, but when I'm with you, I do warnings. And so I would say there's some graphic violence in some of these
yeah.
episodes. Some of Freeman is very chill and like it's not graphic at all. You could have like an 8-year-old watch it and everybody would be like, yay. There's a few episodes of this season that you'll scare the pants off an 8-year-old. So because it's bloody and it's kind of like scary imagery and
Yeah,
such, and it's kind of heavy in parts too.
yeah,
So, but it's a great story, and it's also one of those ones that I appreciate because there's like very little fan service in the show at all.
yeah.
It's pretty clean. It's pretty wholesome. So, but I would solidly recommend watching the second season of the
Yeah.
show.
I forgot to put it on my list, but it kind of like some last bit. If I were to kind of sum up the lesson of like a lot of it comes down to like the importance of not neglecting to meet together
Okay.
and the importance of not letting important things go unsaid.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because you could tell that like Free Rent throughout this whole process is like so many unspoken things that maybe she's figured out or said, or there's all this meaning and things people have said to her that it's just taken a long time to like catch up for her to like process. And part of that is because you'll notice her character is one who's always distracting herself,
Yeah,
which I guess if you're an anime fan like me, you probably do that with anime. So, but there's also a time to like turn it off and like let life catch up a little bit too.
yeah.
So, it's a great one. So, do you have a recommendation for everybody?
My first one for the winter 2026 season is Sentenced to Be a Hero. I learned about this from some ministry, some online ministry friends of mine from Geek Devotions, um, and really enjoyed it. The main parallel I've seen in it was kind of talking about the way it paralleled comment about like something that people talk about a lot in ministry is stuff about church hurt and deconstruction.
Okay.
Kind of like when we meet, I can't remember his first name right now, but like the main character when we first meet him, he is very jaded, and we
Sure.
learn, kind of spoilery, he was betrayed by the system of the world he was in, and because of his perception, he both has a dislike of gods as well as what he does now of being a hero. Doesn't feel like he has much autonomy, and we kind of see throughout his interactions with this little girl who's like a new god that, despite him and his effort to push himself away from her, she ends up becoming like a new god to support him as well as a friend, and that's kind of like main growth we see. But I just really enjoyed the action. There is blood and some graphic scenes, but aside from that, I really enjoy the animation. If you're a fan of 90s anime, especially stuff like the original Trigun, the art style is really good. It's, if I how to describe it, it's like a mix of like a Berserk or Trigun style with like modern anime, kind of like somewhere in between those. But it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, Quentin, because my next one was Sentenced to be a Hero. So,
Mm.
uh, so I'm just gonna piggyback off of you, and tell you I agree wholeheartedly. It's a good anime. It's another straight fantasy anime, which is again, you don't see them as much these days because it's almost all isekai in some form or fashion. So it's kind of fun that they're just in this, they're in a world. Nobody's from somewhere else. Nobody's regressed. Nobody's reincarnated. Uh, nobody's become a god or has met a god to come over there or anything like that. Nobody's a vending machine or a dragon or or anything else. It's just this. It's a fantasy anyway. I think the art style, like you said, that kind of darker late '90s art style is really really reminiscent for me of like some of the '90s anime that I loved. The actions, the action scenes are really cool. Um, the art style is also like really like I like the creatures they're fighting. I was thinking that the plot wasn't wholly original because it's kind of a take on a post-apocalyptic
Mm.
zombie, essentially. Like you have this fungal thing or magic thing that's like taking over the bodies of everything in nature and
Yeah.
turning them into like mindless zombies that's killing all the people. So that's not an uncommon thing. That's a Last of Us thing, or there's other anime that are about zombies and post-apocalyptic. But um, they look cool. They have like for bright colors and things, and the creature design is cool, and it's original enough to be really good overall. It's not really borrowing from anything heavily to me. It's a pretty unique world they're living in, and it feels original for the most part. So, um, I also like the idea that the heroes are loathed. Like they're called heroes, and to be a hero is like the worst scarlet letter in the world.
Mm.
Like you're considered the scummiest of scum because like it's better to die and be executed for your crime because they serve like heroes are deathless, like constantly resurrected like slaves of society
Yeah.
that are just like they're the cannon fodder essentially. They're just stuck in the front. They have to go fight these like giant horrible creatures. They die, they resurrect them and send them back out, and they rinse and repeat till like they basically can't be done. It like their soul just breaks apart, and so
Yeah.
everybody hates them. They're ostracized. They're all considered the worst of war criminals, so to speak. The interesting
Uh,
thing is none of them actually seem that way. you
well,
know
there's like the one guy who, like, of like a group of five, it's like there's one who's like, oh, he kills people for fun.
Yeah, well, he's an ex-assassin.
Yeah,
Yes. Uh, but yeah, it's one of these things where it's interesting, and so but they touch on topics like integrity
yeah,
because the people that are considered like the best of society have no integrity, and the people that are considered the worst, many of them have the greatest integrity, which
yeah,
is kind of interesting. So, making the right decisions. Some of these people made the rightest decision that they could, and they were punished for it. And so, sometimes making that right decision for Jesus is going to cost us something. So, perseverance, corruption, sacrifice, and then friendship. I agree. The living weapon that he like partners and bonds with is, um, it's kind of cool because she just she just kind of unfreezes his heart a little bit, like through just being like persistent and loving and like not taking no for an answer, which I also think is one of those things as Christians we could do in our own lives. Um,
yeah,
I know I had a similar experience with my own father a little bit. He was kind of a cold fish growing up. And I came to know Jesus and I just started loving on that guy. And now he's kind of ooey gooey, like lovey dovey guy. So, and it just took
yeah.
kind of doing the first step, so to speak.
Yeah,
So,
like if I were to sum up, like if I had to sum up the lesson in one sentence, it would be like that there's parallels that we could take away from as like ministry people as well as just Christians in general is that people get around the idea that God cares about them because we showed that we cared.
yeah. Well, it's a very tonally dark show. Like
Yeah,
it is not a light show. I mean, there's some light moments, but for the most part, it's pretty heavy,
yeah,
and it is violent. Like there are people getting like maimed and dismembered and blood, and it is not for kids. It is not for young teenagers, even in my
mm,
opinion. So, but I also think it's entertaining, and there's a lot of things that you could parallel. And I assume that your teenagers would probably enjoy this if they're older. So,
yeah, for sure.
and one
Oh
down
yeah,
point is that the season ends, and I'm not going to spoil it, but I'll tell you that like everything is still pretty wide open. Nothing has been resolved. It's kind of setting up for like part 2 or 3 or whatever. I haven't read any of the source material, but it's obvious that there's more story to tell. So I'm
yeah,
hoping that there'll be another season of the show. I don't know if
yeah.
there is or not, but
I'm really excited to see what happens with the female captain if we get a
yeah,
season 2.
yeah. Yeah,
Because
which is kind of cool because we get to see what happens to her, which kind of helps us inform what happened to a lot of other people on the show. But
yeah,
I don't want to get too much into that because
for
spoilers.
sure. Um, I next recommendation, kind of
Yeah, you
going
should go because you,
full
you you took
circle
my second. So
back to My Hero Academia. This past season was released My Hero Academia Vigilante Season 2. Brief disclaimer is there is some definite fan servants in this show, mostly with Miss. Oh, I want to say Night Eye, but that's not right. Um,
is that like the dominatrix teacher?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't remember her name either.
Um, Night something Midnight, I think is her name.
I don't know.
But the mostly the fan service pertains to the flashback arc for Eraserhead, and so that would be my main disclaimer for the show, and kind of transition from talking about Eraserhead's flashback arc. I feel the main lesson that's illustrated in the show in this season is what we see happen with Eraserhead, both his what we are told about his time at UA, as well as his interactions with Koichi for season 2, and the importance of basically knowing a proper time and place for every season. As in season one, we see a fight with Eraserhead and Knuckle Duster, where he basically tells them to stop doing vigilante work, but also we see that go full circle with Eraserhead and Koichi's relationship in the season, where he both helps Koichi as he's like discovering new things about his quirk, and how they work together to help fight these new people who are using the trigger drug that was talked about in last season.
Yeah, I have watched maybe half of the first season. So, but what I watched I enjoyed. Um and my hope is to go back and revisit it and finish it, or at least catch up
Yeah.
to being current. I haven't done that yet. It feels like every season I think about that, like new stuff comes out. uh, but I assure you, one of these days I'll catch up to it because it's definitely on my radar. I was enjoying it. I thought it was pretty good.
Well, what is your next pick?
All right. This is part of the reason why I don't talk about anime a lot is because one of the genres that I really enjoy is like rom-coms. And so I picked a rom-com for my third and final like full recommendation, and that is You and I Are Polar Opposites. Is a it's a typical teenage rom-com, but it breaks convention because the couple get together in the first episode. Like,
Oh,
and I don't feel like that's like a spoiler because like there are so many rom-coms where it's all like the third season and they still haven't confessed their love to each other. Like,
yeah.
what was it like Kaguya-sama or
Yeah,
whatever?
Love
Like,
is War.
yes,
I like that show,
it's great.
but by the end of season one, like
You're like,
as we got
just
into
tell each other
season
you
two,
like
I
each other
was like
already.
counting episodes.
Yeah, it takes forever. I mean, and the payoff is great when you get there, but I just feel like sometimes they get too far. So it's kind of great because this is it's a show it's got good animation, and they get together on the first episode, which is kind of refreshing because I have almost never seen that. I've seen that where they get like halfway in and they become, you know. But normally they have these like same sort of setup where it's all like they flirt for a while, they kind of like each other, and then something happens, they think they don't like each other, and then they're about to confess, and some third person rolls in and throw things off, and then by the end of the show they confess love for each other, and it ends on like this kind of high point. This literally happens in the first episode, where like they get together, and so I really enjoy this because the season focuses on these two awkward kids. One's like extremely sociable and popular, and the other is like antisocial and like intellectual. All right, which is again kind of a trope. Um, but it focuses on these two awkward. They're trying to figure out what it means to be in a relationship, and I really appreciate it because the social butterfly is flummoxed on what to say. And it's one of those things where it's like sometimes you see like everybody kind of uplifting like the quiet character, and in this I felt like it was almost like the quiet character kind of uplifts the social butterfly because they're in this new relationship. They're junior high kids. They don't know what they're doing, They don't know what love is. And so it's really happy, it's joyful, it's a pick me up. When you watch it, you will think that the main character, the girl in it, is cute as a button and just kind of fun, and when they do have sparks of romance, they hold hands and they both blush hard, and you're just kind of over there, kind of clapping for them, going like "woo," because like there was a moment in your life where you felt that way a little bit, or like you can relate to having those like really awkward moments, sort of thing. And so, um, another thing is it has little to no fan service at all in it, which for a rom com is crazy. So, there's not any sex stuff in it. They're very innocent. They're very young. It's a cute story and it's pretty wholesome for the most part. There's not, I can't remember any perversion in it at all. It's kind of great because it's just these two kids who like each other and, them trying to figure it out what it means. And so they talk about things about social awkwardness, anxiety a little bit, friendship, how it affects their friends, how it affects other people, romance, and empathy. Because I know that a big part of this show is they're just trying to figure out what the other person is feeling. And there's a lot of that going on throughout this show. So it's a good show for everybody, I think. I would solidly recommend it. It's a good show. So
I believe it's my last recommendation from the winter season. Jack of all trades, party of none.
I watched that.
Um, a few disclaimers. There's a few scenes that take place inside of onsens. They do, my opinion, a good job of things up so there's not really like frames that I would really call explicit.
Like you can tell, like they're in a bath, but like it's not like
Yeah,
explicit, or they're not
yeah,
like trying to like show off curves and stuff as much, or like
right,
hint at things, and yeah,
yeah.
it's not perverted. Okay.
Um, so that would be the one disclaimer I'd really give about this show. Um, this show does go to some dark and heavy places later on. Um, especially with the backstory of one of the students that the main character trains. But I really like the way the message is conveyed. Um, the main character, Orin, he gets kicked out of the party that he was an enchanter for. And so he's recruited by, I think it's called the Silver Bunnies.
Silver rabbits.
Yeah, Silver Rabbits
Yeah.
to train a group of kids and get them ready. So most of the plot follows them. And it's really cool seeing how he goes from wanting to be a swordsman and kind of trying to distance himself from being an enchanter, but we see him finding a healthy balance in this show as he like trains and operates in a supportive role teaching the kids. I really enjoyed the show. It was definitely one of my favorite animes of last season.
I got to catch that one too. And I might have recommended it because I enjoyed it. I watched the whole thing, which I have to enjoy it if I'm going to watch all of it. I'm one of those guys that I'll abandon something 3 or 4 episodes in or 6 episodes in. I've abandoned a couple 9 episodes in before just because
Oh
they got to a
wow.
certain place where I was just like, yeah, I'm not really enjoying this anymore, or something will happen and I'm just like, I don't think I want to watch this. So, but I watched this whole anime too. I enjoyed it. Uh, I probably didn't recommend it, and my only reason for it is it's a little bit coloring inside the box for me.
Mm.
Like there's been a lot of anime where it's all like I got kicked out of the heroes party,
Yeah.
and he was kicked out of the heroes party, which is kind of funny because like they don't even have a hero in the party. Like there's not a
Yeah.
hero in this world, but they're called the heroes party. I don't know if it meant like they were the greatest.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny, or they decided to name themselves the heroes party, but like there wasn't technically a hero, like an actual person who was like he's the
Yeah.
hero. So, but I enjoyed it a lot. I just like I said, I felt like it was a little tropey. Um, but it was also cool. They had dungeon diving in it, which was cool. I think the magic system was really cool in it. Um, the idea that they had chanters, they were almost playing like roles like you would in like a RPG or something, like a video game. But anyway, but I enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
I have one honorable mention, one that I did not recommend in my top three, um, but I would like to mention if I can.
Yeah, go for it.
So I really enjoyed a show called Journal with Witch this season.
Mm.
I love this anime, and it's about a family that is broken by tragedy. Again, I don't feel like I'm spoiling it because this all happens in the first episode. But it's about the dynamic between an aunt and her niece. The niece, her parents die in a car crash, and she is adopted essentially by her aunt. And her aunt and her mother had like a falling out and were estranged and don't like each other. And it's really odd too because I don't know if this is a cultural thing, but like her aunt is pretty all unapologetic about how she still doesn't like her sister. Like she has very little. And at one point she goes, "I don't want to talk to you about my sister because I don't want to like skew your view of her." Which is a mature thing to do, but it's also like her sister just died, so it's a little cold fishy. So,
Mhm.
um, but I can tell you this brought me to tears many times during the season as I was watching this show. It visualizes loneliness, it visualizes loss, really, really like thematically. I was looking forward to catching every new episode like the day of release. It came out on Sunday afternoons, and I would go to church in the morning. I'd come home and eat lunch, and I would tune in every afternoon. I would tear up, and then I'd go to a youth group. So, I don't know if it's my Western sensibilities or if I need to rewatch some episodes or something. But I felt like the ending of this just kind of fell short for me. And I don't know if it's because this has more meaning for an Asian or a Japanese audience, or if it's because like maybe there's some I didn't catch some things that were subtle or something. So I may need to rewatch some episode, but I just didn't feel like it's the landing well, which is why I didn't want to like full on recommend it. It felt a little rushed at the end as well, kind of vague and unfulfilling on like how everybody kind of ends up. Um, Maybe there's going to be a season two, and that may be why. Like, if that's all we get, I would be kind of disappointed because of where they kind of ended the story. Um, or there might be some source material that like helps fill some of the gaps, and maybe one of those things where they had budget for a certain amount of episodes and they needed another two or three to like tell the story fully, and so they just kind of crammed in. I don't know. Um, but I would still recommend it as it covers some heavy themes like loss, death, tragedy, recovery, family, grief, really well. And I'm sad that I can't gush more about it because, like I said, for me, the ending was just kind of a little bit. I would have said this is a 10 out of 10, but because the ending, I'd say maybe like a 7 or 8. So, like last 9, like 10 or 11, like I think there's 12 episodes of this. I think 10, 11, and 12, these episodes just weren't that satisfying for me. Like after I got to 9, I was like, okay, I want to see what happens, but I wasn't as into it because I didn't feel like they were developing or like moving forward as much anymore or something. So anyway,
We're running a little low on time. Since you got some
it's fine.
hurts
It's
up.
fine. Let's just get through our recommendations for
Um,
2026. Unless you're worried about the
yeah.
length of the overall thing.
Well, we can like do this as short or in depth as we want. I don't think we'd go too in depth with these since
No, I mean,
they're like 4 episodes in.
yeah.
But
I know I've got 3 genres that I picked out of like these are the ones that I'm watching,
oh, nice.
and I've got a couple of recommendations in each one, or at least ones that I'm like, hey, I'm keeping my eye on these.
Okay, yeah. So do we want to go back and forth, or how many genres you said?
I got 3.
Okay. I think I just have 4 mentioned.
Okay,
Do we want to go back and
I'll pick.
forth?
I'll do one genre, and then you can pick a couple, and then um I'll do a couple more, and I know we're gonna at least have one in common. So we talked about it at lunch, I
Oh,
bet.
yep.
All right. So for my first genre, I picked rom com. Again, I'm a rom com guy, so I enjoy them. And so the first rom com that I've been excited about so far this season, and I've been watching as they come out, is I Made Friends with the Second Prettiest Girl in My Class. I've been enjoying it so far. The animation is really good in it. It's not real fan servicey. Um, it is about a popular girl who's like the second most popular girl, and a very antisocial, awkward, kind of not appreciated guy. Find out that they really like the same things, so they start hanging out, and I've enjoyed it. They're tackling some of the things in their life that are hard, and they're breaking kind of social norms a little bit, and I think so far it's one that I'm really hoping I can recommend it in the season. So, and then there's one other rom-com that I've been watching very closely, and that is The Ramparts of Ice. It is a show on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I've not started watching that one yet, but the um Geek Devotions did a really fun devotional
Okay.
of that.
It is made by the same creators, author, and creators of the one I recommended for this past season of uh, You and I Are Polar Opposites. It's made
Mm.
by the exact same creator and author, and in fact, I can't remember if it's in one scene or if it's in like the intro or outro of the show, but like you see them at like a family dining restaurant in Japan, and like the table over are the characters from that show. Uh, so it's like this little Easter egg, which is kind of cool because you're like, oh, they're from the show from last season. So they're in a shared universe. So they just go to different schools. So, but it's about a girl who's like very, very like has been hurt and has been pulling up kind of walls to defend herself. And it's this season about like her interacting with other people and trying to like kind of tear down some of those walls that she's put up to protect herself. And so, um, and of course, in the process, there's cute boys involved. So there may be some romance by the end of it, I would assume. So those are my two kind of rom. I don't even call Rainbow Stars rom. It's just rom. I wouldn't say com as much. It's not very funny, but those are the ones that I'm looking at on that genre this season.
Um, Speaking of, this is a bit of a stretch, but it's going off of a joke we made during lunch today. Go um Going from romance anime to what I jokingly called if Komi who couldn't communicate was a mech anime.
Yeah,
My first recommendation for the season is Snowball Earth. I've really enjoyed it. There's basically this guy who he befriended an AI robot that the robot spoilers for episode 1. The robot sacrificed himself in order to save the main character of the show, and he basically said before the robot died that he promised that he would make 100 friends. And I really enjoyed the show. The art is very interesting mix of kind of traditional 2D style anime and 3D anime, like 3D animation. And then the next recommendation I have is another one that I've really enjoyed, and that Geek Devotions has also done a devotional on, and that is Daemons of the Shadow Realm. It's made by the same people who created Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I The episode really interesting, and the kind of the wise beyond his years of the main character, and just I look forward to seeing how his relationship with his estranged sister plays out and develops throughout the show. Uh, the one disclaimer I'd give is the first episode, especially, is there is a very gory scene where a girl uses an invisible monster that wipes out a village. Um, and with that said, I'm going to transition over to Mike. Did you have thoughts on either one of those shows?
well,
And also, what's your next
the funny thing about that is both of those were things I was going to recommend. So one, my science fiction, that was one of my genres, and the only one in it right now was Snowball Earth. I'm also digging that one. It's good. I think it's going to also end up being a little rom-commy, I bet. And it is fun to watch this guy develop. It is a little violent. It's a little dark sometimes. It's also got like this touch of weird like zaniness a little bit. You know, like he fights a giant kaiju thing with like a little bitty like baby front loader, and kills it. And he's a little slapsticky humor a little bit in it. Which is really crazy when like people are getting like brutally murdered around them a little. It's like it's
Mhm.
got a tonal thing that's a little odd, but I'm okay with it. Like I'm on board. So I enjoyed it, and one of my other recommendations was going to be um the demon one. Like
Yeah,
I actually watched the first two episodes last night, and it's like Full Metal Alchemist, and I'm pretty sure the guy that like wrote that or at least animated that is involved in this, because the characters look very similar to Full Metal Alchemist characters. So the animation is really good. There is like one of the summons is a little buxom and a little bit like revealing. So if that's something that you need to watch out for, like, but it's also not like constantly at the forefront
yeah,
or in your face. It's just one of those things where like know that there is a little bit of that there. Um, but I'm excited to see where it goes. It seems like a cool world. It seems like it's got a cool setup. It starts with like this kind of big mystery of like why is all this happening? And I think I'm 2 or 3 episodes in, and I still don't know. So I'm excited to see where it goes. Um, so I recommended both of those. I guess I'll give you one more, which means maybe I'll steal one from you. So Wisteria, Wand, and Sword season 2. We talked about this
mhm.
at our last podcast, I think, and
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it because I liked the first season an awful lot. And so now they've graduated from like magic school, and um, you know, it doesn't all go the way that everybody thinks either. So it's one of those things where it's like this season is set up with like a wrench being thrown in the plans of like our protagonist,
Yeah.
because what he had been working and hoping would happen doesn't plan out the way he expects. And so I don't know where this season is going. It looks like I don't know if I watched just the first episode or maybe the second one, but I know that like the bad guys have shown up in a major way at the beginning of this season. The ones that were kind of showing up and like throwing, trying to kill them at the end of the last season, they're back. They're back on a
Mhm.
grander scale, I think. Um, I don't know what's going to happen in this season, but it's a cool world. It's a cool protagonist. Um, I'm down.
Yeah.
So,
I was watching. I think I'm caught up to the English dub. Um, so far this season, and I found it very ironic given the messaging of this season. And it's based on the liturgical calendar. We're still in the season of Easter, I think,
okay.
almost to Pentecost. Um, as the main verse that I came to my head, I can't remember the citation of it right now. Is the one that says like the rejected stone has now become the cornerstone. Basically, a connection I've seen compared to like the last week of Jesus and like the first couple episodes of season 2, where this is probably spoilers for season 2 so far. The basically the main people in charge of the world, when they see the surprise attack happen, in order to preserve their own lives, they're like, we're staying out of it. And then the main character shows up. I can't remember his name right now. And starts fighting off the demons. Like he's the first to respond. Like
Ah,
one of the first people to respond.
yeah. You just spoiled that for me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're fine. You're fine.
But
Uh, it's looking good.
yeah.
I'm excited for what the season has for us. I'm excited to go watch that episode now. So
Uh,
because I think that'll be good. I guess maybe I just watched the first episode then. But anyway, again, I assure you, I'm okay with what you just said. So I don't want
good.
you to feel bad about that later. I don't care. Ascendancy of a Bookworm, part three is a recommendation. I haven't recommended this before because I haven't watched it.
Mm,
It was one of those things that, like, in between seasons, I was kind of bored. I'd caught up to most of what I really wanted to catch up with last season, and I was waiting for the new one to start. And so, one of the YouTube creators I like to watch recommended this series
mm,
because this part three was about to start this season. And so I went, you know what? It doesn't look like it's for me, but I'll give it a go. And let's just say the next 4 days of my life were every moment I had a chance, I was watching an episode, and I binged part one and part two in like 4 days. I mean,
wow.
I just consumed it, and it was,
Uh,
I think it was like 24 episodes or something.
wow.
And so, but I really enjoyed it. It is about, it is a fantasy, in a fantasy genre, anime, and kind of a, um, oh, what is it? Kind of an evil world, so to speak.
Mm,
And she is actually reincarnated into this world. So she has
oh,
her adult memories from Japan in like modern day Japan, and she's isekai'd into like feudal or like medieval this world. They have like that sort of level. They don't have printing presses, they don't have electricity, all that sort of thing. Like, it's pretty
mm,
medieval. So, but it's a fantasy world, and so they are brought into it, and she uses her knowledge from Japan to like revolutionize this world. And it's interesting because she's like a giant book nut, and so like that's what she's focused on. Is she wants to read books, but like the only people in the world that have books are like the creme de creme, like the richest 1%, and no one touches them and no one has access to them. And so like she is dying to read, and so like literally her goal is to like make books approachable or available for everybody. And so it talks about like her process of trying to make that happen. It's not immediate. It's not like, you know, episode two, she's got a printing press made or something. She's a little girl in a fantasy world. So it's like seasons go by until
mm,
she's figuring it out. So I just enjoyed it. I got along for the ride. I appreciated it. So
mm.
season or part three is going on right now, or just started, and I don't know where it's taking us, but I want to find out.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the animes where I'm like, I've not watched it, but Crunchyroll keeps recommending it to me, being like,
It's gonna
hey,
wear you down one of these
would you
days.
like to,
It's pushing
like,
it. They're
this
like,
seems like the thing
you
that you
want a
would
little
be
crack?
into?
Huh? You want to put this in your money? It's good. Yeah, yeah. And you're all like, just one snort. Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's so funny that I accidentally, like, wiped my nose.
The first crack rock's free, right? Okay. Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. Well, I can tell you, it was like crack for me. I binged it, so I was addicted. So I enjoyed it. So you might give it a chance when you get a lull. Like anime fans get a lull.
Mm.
I feel like the lull's like the week before the finals come out, or the
Mm.
finales, because like we know what we're watching. We've
Uh,
got it narrowed down to like two or three, or maybe four or five, depending on. And so we have nothing to watch for like a week, and then we're like, okay, well, while I wait for the finale to come out, where's that
mm.
crack at, Crunchyroll? What are you gonna recommend?
Yeah, that was, feel like I have a hard time binging anime. Because if I see Christian lessons paralleled, and outside of like when I binge watch anime for like when we do episodes, um, this was the most I've ever binged anime to like prepare for a video. But most of the time, my brain's like, oh, I kind of want to cover this show now since
Yeah,
I saw. And then like God reminds me of like, hey, not calling you to be 10 people, so.
I've got one more I'm looking at, and one more I'm excited about, and it may be the one I'm most excited about. Uh, you want me to share, or you want me to wait? Uh,
Um,
you got something?
yeah, I had two. I'm just gonna put them real close to each other, not because they're necessarily same genre, but because the messages and themes I've seen in the season so far is very similar to each other. And those are the beginning after the end, season 2,
That's a controversial choice.
and Witch Hat Altier.
Okay, don't talk about the second one because that's mine.
Okay.
You talk about beginning after the end. Well,
I
it's not mine. You can talk about it. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, I'll talk about it after you talk about
Sounds great.
it. I really enjoyed the beginning after the end, season 1. Um, and I really like how both that season and this season so far has conveyed the idea of like knowing the difference between could and should,
Okay.
and how the needs of those around you and their desires and their what's good for them is sometimes what we can use as like in order for the church to function. Like it's knowing the difference of like God honoring and good is knowing that if it's just good for me or if this is good for everyone in a sense where God is able to use it to do good in the church rather than in the individual. As in this show, in the first couple episodes, there's a big monster that the main character is told by his parents, do not fight, do not engage with. And he gets injured, but he defeats the monster, spoils. Um, but for the next episode that I really enjoy the way they did this was him apologizing and like debriefing about the trip and like him just realizing that even though he has the power and ability, it does not disqualify or belittle his responsibility to relieve stress of those who love and care about him.
Mm.
And I just really enjoyed that. So I'm excited to see where the season goes.
Well, uh, I watched season one. I enjoyed it. I know that's a controversial take because I know that like it's one of those love or hate ones. I think
Mm.
I know part of it is that like I've read. I believe the webtoon it's based off of because I don't believe it is a manga.
Yeah.
It may be a manhwa or manhwa. Sorry, it might be Chinese. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it's not a manga. I'm pretty sure it's like a
Mm.
webtoon or a manhwa. But I I enjoyed reading that. I've read far ahead,
Mm.
and I know that it picks up quite a bit like after the first season. So I think that was the hard part was is that we were doing all this origin and building up to him, like
Mm-hmm.
going and doing some exciting things. And so I think that's part of it is that like the season one that some people might have trouble with was that it wasn't maybe as exciting or action packed or whatever as some people wanted. Um, it gets better,
Yeah.
in my opinion, anyway. And I didn't think it was bad anyway. So I'm looking forward to season two as well. I haven't watched it yet. That's one of those ones I'll probably wait till like the very end of the season and just watch it
Mm-hmm.
all in one sitting. Um, Witch Hat Atelier, which is I hate that word. It's in lots of anime now.
Yeah.
It's like a French word, I believe. It's spelled
Oh,
Atele or Lier, Atelier or
it's
whatever.
gonna.
It's like a shop owner or like but like I hate it because it's hard to pronounce. So
Yeah, that's gonna be another one we'll have to misspell when recording.
I can tell you that my southern twang like does not like that word. I do not like saying atelier or whatever. So, but this is one I watched last night for the first time. It was another one of those recommendations I just kind of picked up. I was snoozing on this one, and it was highly recommended. People were referring to it as like a free run type, and so I watched the first two episodes last night, and I can tell you that it is beautifully animated. The world it's like you took free run characters like that art
Mm-hmm.
style of those characters and you stuck them in like a Hayato Miyazaki world. So it was like because of like the architecture and like
Mm.
the feeling of it. It's about a little girl who wants to be a witch, a magician, sort of thing. So if you're a Christian and you have issues with magic, magic use, or witchcraft,
Mm.
you might not want to watch this one. So,
Yeah.
although I don't think it's supposed to be dark arts or occult or anything like that, it's just a magic system or whatever. So, but anyway, they are called witches. So if that's something that you're sensitive to, might not be for you. But the artwork was beautiful in it. I was kind of stunned. I was just going, wow, this is a gorgeous anime. And it was just one of those worlds that like it felt like I was like breathing and like walking in it because of just like how beautiful it was animated and how cool like they're telling stories and you see like pop-up book up animation and things flying around in ink and the magic is so beautiful and vibrant when it's happening and I don't know where this is going. It may end up in a weird spot because I know like she ends up working with this male witch, and he's got like four little girls as his apprentices, and it's got that could go in a weird direction. It's anime, so I don't know where it's going to end up, but I can tell you personally, I'm really excited to see this world continue to flesh out. I'm excited to see these beautiful vistas and landscapes and architecture and stuff. I love like the magic system of instead of it being like an internal power that they wield or use. It's like they're doing geometry, so to speak, to do like glyphs or things, and that those, you know, what they draw and the accuracy of it is what makes it's just it's a cool concept, I think, and it's just straight fantasy. You know, the one you were talking about, I forgot to say this, but for the oh, what was it? Um,
Um.
the beginning after the end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the protagonist in it, it's an isekai, but it's a twist on the isekai because he's from a different world that isn't Earth. He was like a dictator of like a martial arts world. Like he was an
Mm.
overruler, like killed all his enemies, old man. He gets assassinated if I remember right, and then wakes up in the child of a body in a magic driven world. And so it's kind of interesting because it's an isekai that is not from a guy from yeah, from Earth. So, which is kind of a cool twist on the genre. But anyway, which had to tell you, I am so pumped about this one. So please don't let me down. But from what I'm told, it's going to be like a free run type of thing. Like it is. It is the manga's great. Um, and I can't speak enough about how great like when you think about One Punch Man, the newest season, and how terrible the animation was. This is the exact extreme opposite. It's just like lovingly drawn, I feel like,
Mm.
and amazing. Hopefully it keeps it up. So
Yeah.
that's all I got.
Just to kind of give some announcements. Um. Kind of as we wrap things up. Both. Thanks again to Christchurch for allowing us to record in their podcast space. Always appreciate that. Um, we will both be faculty for multiple weeks at church camp. So if you have junior high and or high school age students, or if you are in junior high or high school yourself, live in the area, I think you're going to be what?
I'll be at high school week. Well, senior high, I think, is what it is on the
Yeah,
schedule. I'll be at senior high. I'll be at junior high one. I'll be running that one, and Glenn will be there, and then we'll both be at worship week the following week. And so, well, it's like worship and leadership, I think, this year
yeah,
is what that one is. So, but there's a bunch of great weeks. You know, check out All Belt Christian Service Camp in Flora, Illinois. Um, if you got kids of any age that are able to go to camp, get them to camp. It's a really cool thing. So,
yeah.
really cool place.
And then just some few other announcements. Um, Something you might not have heard about is there's a Christian coalition of content creators called Culture Box, and one of them Um, I want to shout out one who I've referenced a couple times. Known they use the name Geek Devotions. The devotionals that I referenced that they did talking about some of the animes we talked about, I will put in the comment section of the YouTube upload of this. They are actually pretty close to hitting 2,000 subscribers at the time of following this. So if you want to check out their devotionals, hear their opinion on some of the stuff that we've talked about, definitely highly recommend them. And if you feel compelled to subscribe to them, I know they would appreciate it. And also just keep them in your prayers as they hit this amazing, wonderful milestone coming up for them. And if you're interested in my opinion on anime openings, I will, along with Charles from Beneath the Tangles, will be doing a live stream episode of The Rushmore Show with the host of The Rushmore Show, talking about our top 4 of anime openings on May 28th. So if you are interested in that, a link to that video will also be in the comment section of this video. And is there anything else that you want to
Hey, quick
say?
question. When you talk about the openings, is that visually? Is that musically?
I think it's both things.
Okay. No, because I was just thinking, like, it just made me think. I'm all like, I can think of a few off my head that I'm all like, I love those. Okay, like, whether it be the songs or the animation. There's a few like really good ones. So, anyway, I got me thinking. I was going like, oh, I'd love to be on that one too, because I could thought a few of those because like you watch enough anime and there are some that like every season it comes on or and it's like skip the intro and you skip. And there's some that like every time you're all like, nah, I'm listening to this, you know, like because it's got a banger song or a cool animation to it. So, of course, you can't get past JoJo because they have like a new intro, like they add like new people into it.
Oh yeah, it's
Like there's new parts of the opening like throughout the season. You know, like people die or whatever, and then they're like they're removed or something, or if I remember right, or maybe they're added like as the season progresses and stuff.
I know it's on.
Or it might be the closing, but anyway, I don't remember.
Hiatus for a little bit, but I did think about a few weeks ago when they were announcing like, is it JoJo Steel Ball Run?
Yeah, that was awesome. Oh, that was awesome.
Because I knew when we first talked about anime, or one of the first times we did, you talked about how like that was like your favorite arc of JoJo, and like that was like what you and like one of the youth group kids.
It was my youth group kid's favorite arc. So I've never read it. I don't know. I mean, I'd read part of it, but I
think I've read like volume.
I actually think season 3 or 4 might be my favorite. So it's just wacky. It's crazy. We were watching it and I kept going like, I bet this happens as just like an off the wall joke, like of the stupidest thing I could think of. And then immediately after it would happen. And I was like, what? Like, anyway, but we could keep talking all day. So I got nothing else, brother. Thanks for having me on. Yeah. And hopefully maybe we can do it again in say August. Yeah. We can talk about the summer season, the things that we were just talking about, maybe the ones that we would really like to like hold up, recommend, and we can talk about the first couple episodes of the summer season.
Yeah, and thank you for watching this. If you're at this point in the video and would like to support this ministry and channel further, please like and subscribe. As well as if there are animes that you're excited for, feel free to put them in the comments. Or if you have thoughts on any of the shows that we've talked about, feel free to post those too. And with that being said, may God be with you and see you next time.